Hi, welcome, Gail here. Speaking about everything psychic, spiritual, intuitive, if I can get my voice out. And hoping that you're travelling well in your life. First thing I want to actually just say, we're going to discuss a couple of subjects today. So I'm going to talk about choices first, then I'm going to talk about telepathy, also telekinesis, and I'll be looking at, perhaps, if we've got time, drawing another card for the last 2 months of October 2020. So my role is that I'm here to help. If you have any life problem or situation you're going through, please don't sit in it. Please don't anguish over it. There are explanations, there are solutions, and there are ways of you making sense of what you are experiencing in your life. And that's kind of my job, to help you with those things. Now, if you're feeling in your life at the moment that your choices are limited, I just want you to consider for a moment. You have the power right now, in this present moment, to choose something. You always have the power of choice. You are never without the power of choice. And you can choose, maybe, if there is any kind of action that you can take, you can maybe look at doing it. And even if it's something that, oh my gosh, I would never dare do that, maybe it's something that for you will help you. And when you feel stuck, the choice is, do I choose me? And I mean, that's the first place you start. If there is something that you can do, even if it's very small, it could be as small as saying a different couple of words to somebody. If you're feeling like they've put you in a position where you're limited in, feeling like you're in control at all, feeling more maybe like the victim, then you have a choice with words. You have a choice to say nicely or kindly, just one or two words, like even, that's tough, or that's not okay, or things like that, or I'm just feeling a little bit pressured here. You can say words. It is, if you can't say the words out loud, you can still say them in your head, because that gives you that same feeling of having something you can do. Choices are about everything and anything. You have a choice in how you choose to think about something. 2 people, 3 people, 5 people can have a different thought about the same situation in their head. They can come up with a different choice of how they might manage it, how they can view it, how they can understand it, how they can deal with it. You always have choice. Never ever feel that you don't. You always do. The choice is in the moment, and it's choose to look at it a different way maybe. Choose to think about what someone else might do in your situation. Choose to not be affected by it. That's another choice. There's lots of choices that you have in life, and just, if you are feeling a little stuck, just kind of like try and think outside the square a little bit. It's just like, I have a choice, what is it? What is it? Sometimes you won't know what it is, but if you have that question in your mind, it will come to you. Something will come to you of something you can do. And even just thinking, choice, what choice do I have, empowers you to an extent as well. So you don't feel, kind of like bullied and bashed around by life and situations. So that's just a brief thing about choice and choices. There's a whole lot more to it, of course, but you are the central figure of your life, and you choose how you experience any experience in your life. And yes, there are some very, very tough experiences out there. You can choose to see this as a gift, a learning, a experience that can help you help other people. There are many different ways that you can look at these experiences and choose to use them. So just to be a little bit perhaps I don't know, consider that for the rest of the month. What are my choices? What choice do I have? Is there a choice that I could take? You don't have to take it, but if you know you've got the choice, then also you don't feel a victim in your life. So yeah, just consider that a little, if you want to. In the psychic intuitive area of our lives, and we all have this ability, we all recognise actually that we have this ability. In some ways, at some times, you will have experienced this. It's telepathy. So telepathy is a real kind of experience that happens naturally. Generally, people who have lived together in a relationship, so that's in close confines with each other for a long time, or two people who really just kind of get each other, just have a connection, just know each other, just know, they have a closeness of empathetic kind of interactions with that person, then they also pick up on each other's thoughts. And anyone in a long-term relationship will start to open their mouth and the partner will say whatever the words were that were coming out. Sometimes that can be annoying, but other times it's actually very useful. It is telepathy. That is the word for it. It is telepathy, and it is not just a thing that happens. It is an actual brain-to-brain communication. Now, we are energy beings, I've said this before. Our brains are energetic little kind of motors, if you like, filled with all of these little neurons that spark off and link up and everything else. And that happens between two people as well. So if we have a strong kind of it is that empathy, closeness, real caring about another person on, a kind of like a deeper level, then you will kind of know what they need before they even open their mouth sometimes. You will be able to guess, just call it that, you'll be able to guess what the other person is about to say, what they need that they're not saying. You'll be able to link in with how they're feeling, what they're experiencing, and you might be able to say some things that are really useful and really helpful that right in that moment that person needs to hear, even if they haven't said the words. It is a gift that we all have. Everybody, again, has an intuition, but everybody has the ability to be telepathic. And on the way here, there's this easy one. If you're driving in the car, especially like on the motorway or somewhere where you can go fast, and you've got a car in front of you, I happen to be this car this morning, that goes a bit slower because they're not looking at their speedo or they're thinking about something else. If you suddenly go, I best speed up, look at the speedo, it's because the person behind you is actually going, hurry up. You might not hear the actual words in your head, but you get that feeling, that push even, or that, look at the speedo. You get that wake up kind of thing because the message has been received in your brain. So the motorway is a good one. And anybody who's angry at you in a car, that particularly is behind you, for some reason behind you, is the thing, because you can't see them. You're actually, call them your instinctive responses. They're actually kind of radar kind of covering your back as like this little radar screen for any kind of threat. That happens automatically. And so anyone who's angry behind you, that's kind of like a little bit road ragey. So if you're this person who's road ragey, this applies to you as well. But anyone behind you that's a bit that way, you feel it. In some way you just feel like some sort of pressure or annoyance or something, and you can respond to that. Sometimes you verbally say something and you don't even know that person is feeling that way because they haven't said it, but things might actually be coming out of your mouth about that person behind you who's doing that. Also, just be aware that when you are a little annoyed with the driver, And this particularly does happen in cars. If you're annoyed with the way somebody's driving and you kind of like think it, they receive that. They get it, and they'll often respond. So what I used to do a long, long time ago was I would simply just sit at the back of this car and I would be going, you know, you could go a little faster. It's like, and it's like magic. It's actually fun. Play it. It's a good game to play. That you just speak to someone in the car if they're driving a bit weird or a bit slow or a bit kind of like fast even. Like, you know, the ones that go screaming past you. Then you can just put out a thought. Slow down. You know, hey, slow down. You want to stay alive. They get those thoughts too. So I prefer those kinds of thoughts to the angry ones, occasionally, of course, because I'm a fire sign. You know, we have our moments, all of us. But all thoughts get received. So whatever somebody thinks about you affects you. Whatever thought somebody puts out toward you affects you. It affects the way that you feel. It affects the way that you may act. It affects the way you may respond. You are in control of you. You have a choice whether or not you put out thoughts that are angry or hurtful or harmful. That is a choice that you absolutely have. If you put out those thoughts, they will then come back to you. And nobody has to say them out loud for you to hear them or them to hear you. It's an unconscious thing. So if somebody is uncomfortable around you or acting a little strangely around you, a little bit differently toward you, it's often could be something you've been thinking about them. And you can fix it, because then you can, you know, if you are mindful and aware of what your thoughts are, you can choose then to approach that person or to say something that might just actually be something that neutralises what you've said, you know, in a calming kind of way. I'm not wording it very well. I know what I mean and I know what I want to say, but my words don't always come out my mouth, as we know. Just that. What you put out there comes back to you threefold. It's the karmic law, it's the universal law, and it's not about punishment. The universe never, ever, 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 ever punishes you. It is more your internal aspect of self and wanting to be a good person monitors what you say and what you do as to whether it's in line with the best part of you and how you really want to be in the world. And the kickback, if you like, what comes back to you is because you're in some way doing that, I need to put this right, and so therefore I need to experience what I've put out there and remember what that's like so I don't do that again. So it's not so much punishment in the reference that we call it, but you could call it that. Self-punishment. The universe never punishes us. The universe simply shows us things and gives us lessons, learnings that we have decided that we need this lifetime, that we want to achieve this lifetime. Okay? So, anyway. So, telepathy. You can practice this if you want. And it's not to be harmful. It must always be kind and caring with thoughts of others because of your own personal kickback that you will kind of, you know, make happen if you haven't been nice, by the way. And that's even verbally. So, there have been academic papers that have been published on the subject of telepathy. So it's not airy-fairy. It is recognised. You can read about it in what would be called legitimate papers. And there was this experiment. Now, you can look this up, Google this, right? It was called the 1,000 Monkey Experience, done in the 1950s, in the old days. It was from what I remember very vaguely, I tried to look it up this morning, but then I was running out of time. There were monkeys little groups of monkeys put on separate islands. These 1,000 monkeys were dispersed across a great distance, so they couldn't have contact with each other. Maybe there was only one monkey on one island. And what they did was they just left these monkeys. Then they set up an experiment. They gave one of these monkeys on the island a potato. Oh, there were other monkeys with them. So they were little groups of monkeys, sorry. They gave them a potato and they just watched to see what would happen. And I think that because potatoes weren't necessarily a natural food, and there was other food there, but at one point, just one monkey, picked up a potato, took it down into the water and washed it. And they noticed that, because they put potatoes on all of the islands, they noticed that then other monkeys would start doing the same behaviour. And it was just this thought transfer aspect. Like, we have collective consciousness, so our thoughts are mixed up with everybody else's thoughts. We pick up ideas from thin air, call it thin air. And that's pretty much what happened with these monkeys. Now, please look it up, 1,000 monkey experiment, and it was the Japanese that did this. So it would have been done very, very thoroughly. So yeah, look it up, look up anything like that as well. It gives you, there was another one done with crosswords. I might have mentioned this a while back, but there was cryptic crosswords, and it was a very, very difficult cryptic crossword that was released in, I think it was Europe first. So they released this in England, I think, and they measured how long it took for people to finish this crossword and kind of respond to it and all that kind of stuff, and how many people actually solved it and all of that. And then they released it into another country a couple of weeks later, and then another country, and then another country, a couple of weeks in between. And they found that the rate of people solving it grew, the rate of it being solved within a set time frame got shorter and shorter, so therefore people were picking up from somewhere already information about how to solve this cryptic crossword. That's also documented somewhere. So look up anything that has experiments around telepathy, just if you're unsure whether it's real. I'm sure most of us have sometimes started saying something and then someone else has finished what we're saying. It's just a real thing, but it is a psychic, intuitive ability. So it's just another one along with your intuition that you can kind of be curious about. There is another one actually that I was going to talk about as well, and that is telekinesis. So telekinesis is actually the ability to move an object with your mind. With the telepathy, just going back a bit, sorry, just with the telepathy side of things, if you sit, right, you can imagine your fingers moving without your fingers moving at all. Try it. You can actually imagine exercising. Actually, if you want to get right into it, you can imagine running, you can imagine exercising. It is said that if you can imagine it very fully, experience it as if you are running, that you will also use the calories that you would use if your physical body was actually doing it. So if you want to try it out, just try it with your fingers first. Just have your fingers flat on a table or flat on the arms of your chair, and just imagine lifting one finger at a time. And you're actually doing it, but your physical body's not moving. Give it a go. Play with it. Have fun with it. See what it feels like. See what, and then you can use other parts of your body and do the same kind of thing. And like I say, you could do a whole exercise routine. If you can do it as if you're doing it, then yeah, you're actually burning calories. So telekinesis, quickly, is to do with the moving of objects and like paper or water, or I tell you what you can do. Some of you already know this too, but if you get a pan full of water and you go and pick some flowers, just kind of like this, the smaller flowers, the ones that will float on water. If you go and pick a flower, put it in the middle of a dish, and some of those oven dishes are quite big, so you can try it with that. And you can move that, I'm telling you, you can move that flower by connecting it with the flower. So your energy and the flower's energy connect together. You can become the flower and then move the flower. Make sure there's no breeze, make sure that there's, no movement of the water. Just have a play, give it a go. There's a lot more to it, but it's about connecting. It's about being the flower. You can read about that as well. It's a very kind of martial arts, chi energy kind of experience. The flower and that essence is part of you. You are part of that flower. Some of your energy is in that flower, and some of that flower's energy is in you, already existing. So if you can connect with that and then kind of move it, even if it's only slight, it's kind of exciting. Flowers on water, probably the easiest. Then you could go to the page of a book, lifting one corner of the book. Anyway, the trick is when you try, it doesn't seem to work, but you try anyway because you're linking in. And when you give up, sometimes that's when it moves, right when you go to look away. Have a play, have fun, and we will see you at the beginning of November. Be safe.